You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Imagine being able to see every class with ease, regardless of your caseload size. Creating engaging lessons your kiddos will love. Having the ability and confidence to manage classroom behaviors. And having the know-how and tools to measure your lessons' effectiveness. If you're tired of feeling unprepared and overwhelmed and are ready to deliver amazing classroom counseling lessons, this is made for you. And if you follow the framework I'm teaching in this course, you will go from feeling stressed and overwhelmed to feeling confident and prepared as you learn how to schedule, plan, deliver, and assess your classroom counseling lessons. Head to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/class lessons to sign up right now. Thanks for listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. Today, I want to continue our journey in class lessons by talking about teaching the class lessons themselves. So up to this point, we haven't even talked about teaching the lesson. We've been talking about scheduling the lessons and planning for your lessons. But now it's time to actually implement it and teach the kiddos. Now, if you're anything like me, you may not have any teaching experience or background in classroom teaching, which is exactly why I wanted to talk about that in this podcast episode. This episode is a sneak peek of my Stress-Free Class Lessons course, my course that's designed to help you feel confident and prepared as you learn how to schedule, plan, deliver, and assess your classroom counseling lessons. So this is kind of a sneak peek of Module 3, which is all about teaching counseling lessons. In the module, I show you how to write a script. You can take the stress out of teaching. You can watch me teach a mock class lesson to learn insider strategies. I show you how to use movement-based activities throughout your lesson to encourage engagement. And I show you how you can even outsource teaching your lessons to save you time. So I hope you'll love this little sneak peek of Module 3, all about strategies for teaching your classroom counseling lessons. Okay, let's check it out. Welcome to Lesson 3. In this lesson, I'll be sharing with you strategies to keep your counseling lessons engaging and fun. So like I was saying, Lesson 3 is all about keeping it engaging. So in this lesson, you're going to learn how icebreakers can be engaging, how to mix in engaging lesson activities, and how to get creative with discussion questions. Now you might be thinking, didn't we already have a lesson on engaging lessons? And you're right. In Module 2, I showed you how to use the Lesson Builder framework and 5 ways that you can do engaging lessons. But in this lesson, I'm going to dive deeper on engagement strategies so your students can get the most out of every lesson while having fun. Movement is a great way to keep students engaged. Sitting at their desk, they get kind of antsy, and maybe they were having like a lot of desk academic time before you came in, so you get to be the fun counselor who switches it up. So I want to show you how you can add movement to 3 areas to keep students engaged. That's through our icebreakers, activities, and our discussion. So first up is movement-based icebreakers. So I want you to try the following icebreakers to get students excited about the upcoming lesson topic. So remember when I was talking about the framework and I mentioned icebreakers, I was saying that you can do random fun ones, but it's better if they have to do with your class lesson topic. It's kind of like a sneak peek or introduction. So I have a few examples for you of fun, engaging ones. First up is sides of the room. So on the picture I have here, I use this in a digital lesson. So this one can be super low prep, but basically you're going to have kids, decide if they're going to go to the right side of the room or left side of the room. So it could be as easy as, which do you prefer, chocolate or vanilla? Chocolate, go to the right side of the room. Vanilla, go to the left side of the room. And some kids may stay in the middle and be like, it's a tie, I can't decide. So it's just a cool way to get to know each other. But like I said, we want to keep these related to our topic. So I've used this before in a cyber safety lesson, and we used it as a way to talk about things that we thought were okay to share online. So saying, okay, is it okay to share your full name online? Yes, no, or maybe. If you think yes, go to the right side of the room. If you think no, go to the left side. If you think maybe, stay in the middle. Or is it okay to share your phone number or the name of your school online? Is it okay to share, your location, things like that. And then it was really interesting because it's an icebreaker. So we kind of got the discussion going immediately. Kids would say things like, oh, your location. Well, yeah, on Instagram, I tag my location to show if I'm at, the beach or at a restaurant or whatever. But then, other kids were saying, no, that's really dangerous. Then predators or people could find you based on your location. So it was a really cool way to open up a discussion and a way to get up and moving. The other example I have is Simon Says. So I love to use this one with the little guys. This is great for a self-control lesson or a following directions lesson. So you're playing Simon Says, and they may just think they're playing a fun game of Simon Says, but when the game concludes, you get to tell them, okay, so how did that game relate to self-control? How did that game relate to following directions? And then they can make the connection in their head. And the last one I like to do is up and down. So kind of like sides of the room, like if you think this, stand up. If you think this, sit down. So a cool way to get kids up and moving. And I did it with growth mindset before using like a flex because you're thinking of growing. We talk about muscles, how the brain's like a muscle. So if you thought a statement was a growth mindset, they would stand up and flex their muscles. And if they thought it was a fixed mindset, they would stay seated. So there's a lot of ways you can make your icebreakers movement-based. And then we have our actual activities, so our core content here. How can we make these movement-based? So you can mix in engaging activities such as role play or charades to your print and digital lessons. So again, I have a role play example here. This is on a digital lesson for responsibility, but they're dividing into groups, and then I'm giving each group the different scenarios. Now, the style of your entire lesson could be movement-based as well. So remember I taught you guys about escape rooms and scoot games. So the entire lesson is movement-based. Whereas this case, maybe you're just doing a movement-based activity. So it's totally up to you. You can decide if you want your whole lesson to be movement-based or if you want a mix of movement and sitting still time as well. But like I said, role play and charades are some of my go-to. I love to do these with coping strategies. So charades, act out coping strategies you could use. And then role play is great for a variety of things, friendship, conflict resolution. Even, you could role play how you would ask for help in a situation. Bullying prevention is a good one to role play. There's a variety of ways you can use these. And lastly, movement-based discussion. So during your discussion, it doesn't have to be boring discussion cards every time. Try something like a beach ball toss, or in this picture, I have a basketball with some questions on it, or a jumbo discussion die. So the beach ball toss, if you're not familiar, you can, write on a beach ball and then erase it because it's usually that kind of material like plasticky that you can erase, or you could cut out paper strips and tape them on there. You toss the ball around, a student catches it, and wherever their thumbs land, they get to pick which question they want to answer. You could do this with any kind of ball, but the beach ball's nice because it doesn't take up a lot of real estate in your office. You can deflate it in between the lessons. Of course, this is something you could also use with small groups. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel, and we're using these activities and strategies across tiers. Or in a jumbo discussion die, so sometimes in a group I like to use a discussion die. You roll the dice and then answer the corresponding questions. But in a class lesson, the dice are tiny and we have like 30 kids, so it's better to get the big die. You can find it on Amazon or whatever, and then you can put in the plastic slots different questions, and the kids can toss the big die. So that's a fun example of how to do a movement-based discussion as well. I hope you guys loved lesson 3. You learned how icebreakers can be engaging, how to mix in those engaging lesson activities, and how to get creative with your discussion. A bonus strategy you get from having engaging class lessons is that it can serve as a proactive classroom and behavior management tool. The more engaged students are in your lesson, the less likely they are to act out and show certain behaviors. So we'll talk more about behavior and classroom management in Module 4, but I just wanted to let you know that this is a win-win. You get to engage your students and manage behaviors at the same time. Now I want you to take action now, so here are 3 action items you can do. Find an engaging icebreaker for each topic you plan on teaching. So, in Module 2, we were mapping out all of our lessons and making a plan. So if you know when you're going to teach something, if you know you have a, cyber safety lesson coming up, think about an icebreaker you can do for it. If you know you have a friendship lesson coming up, think about an engaging icebreaker you can do. And then I want you to decide which engagement activity strategy you want to try. Do you want to try charades or do you want to try role play? Think about which one will fit and with which lesson. Again, it doesn't have to be black and white. It's not like you're someone who only does role play and never charades or vice versa. It depends on the content and topic of your lesson. And lastly, create a discussion beach ball. So like I said, super inexpensive and fun, and you can reuse it time and time again. So go ahead and create a discussion beach ball that you can use throughout the school year. Now in the next lesson, I want to give you a sneak peek. You're going to be learning how to outsource teaching your classroom counseling lessons. and you're going to learn 2 groups of students who could teach your classroom lessons for you. Interesting. Okay, I'll see you guys in lesson 4.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.